Does this series deserve a trilogy, or is it kind of okay they stopped making Titans movies after this one? It's day 155 of 365. Today's movie, Wrath of the Titans. The gods demand that you go to patreon.com/TicketStubMovieClub. There you can join my movie club and get access to these videos early, as well as monthly deep dives, a private Discord, and a lot more. This one's directed by Jonathan Liebsman and stars Sam Worthington, Rosamund Pike, and Toby Kebbell. Let's get godly on this one and talk about Wrath of the Titans. I went to see the sequel to Clash of the Titans after digging that movie. I mean, there's a lot to like there. It's a remake of a movie that I had seen as a kid, and so it felt like they were making one for me at that point. Gods and Greek mythology were also kind of my bag growing up, and specifically in my literature classes, I loved studying the mythology. And then there was a lot of games coming out around this time that had very similar play styles to the action that were happening in these movies. I think about the Dragon's Dogma games specifically, even Dragon Age Inquisition. Some of those games are really doing a lot of this kind of stuff, even in a different setting. But I was digging the idea. In theaters, I liked it. It felt big. The theater effect was really grabbing me, though, I noticed, and I've kind of forgotten everything about it until I revisited in 2025. When I did revisit, I noticed that this movie's kind of not a lot going on here. Plot-wise, there's not a ton happening. It's kind of been edited to hell from what I can tell. There's maybe 30 minutes or more just excised from the movie entirely. Ares is not a great villain overall, and because Ralph Fiennes is playing Hades and he was the bad guy in the first one, he kind of has to take a good guy position, and it's messy overall. And as we've discussed in past films, I like weird, but when you get too messy, you kind of lose me, especially when your star is Sam Worthington and he's the least charismatic guy I think I've seen lead movies. He's popped up a lot lately with Man on a Ledge and now this one, and I don't think he's done on this series either, so I guess we'll just get more Sam Worthington. But something else that stood out to me was the Gladiator influences, especially towards the end of the movie. You can tell that they got inspiration from that film, but didn't take much else other than, hey, this is ancient times with spears and armies, and I wish they had done more with it. It could have been more Gladiator and been much better for it. Ridley Scott's Wrath of the Titans, I guess, is what I'm pitching for here, but there is still some good stuff in this movie, so let's talk about the three things that I dug about Wrath of the Titans. The first thing that I really dig about this movie is Rosamund Pike, and this is not a lot to talk about here. I'm really pulling this point out of my ass because she's given almost nothing to do across the movie other than react to the leads who are not giving her a lot to react to. She gets a couple action beats, but not a lot overall. But she's still showing up and giving it her all. The reason I'm actually making her part of this list is because of her war cry at the end of the battle when they beat Kronos. She just gives it her everything. I can just tell from the take that they use that she was just pouring it all in, because what else are you going to do when you're in a movie that hasn't given you a ton to do? You're kind of playing second fiddle to all these other guys who are kind of boring. And honestly, I'm just glad she's here. I like her in a lot of other stuff, specifically Gone Girl, but there's other roles that I've really dug her in. So it's cool to see her in an action series. If Andromeda had more to do in the movie, I would have been even happier. Maybe that's the answer if they decide to do a third one of these. Steer away from Perseus and give us Andromeda. Let her lead one of these, for fuck's sake. Moving into the second thing that I really dig about this movie is the Spear of Triumph. This is a cool idea overall. I think combining the bolt from Zeus and Hades' pitchfork and Poseidon's trident into one weapon is that's a cool blockbustery idea upgrade. Honestly, I wouldn't be shocked to find out that the whole movie was written around that pitch, literally around the idea of combining these weapons. And then they get brought into the same room at the very beginning of the movie. The Spear of Triumph could have been built in almost scene one of the film. That's crazy to me that this thing is such an important MacGuffin through the movie that by the end of it, they've had to recollect all the pieces, even though they were just all together a minute ago. I think that speaks to the mess of the movie overall, but again, you gotta pick through this and find the stuff you like to stay positive, and I'm not trying to dump on Wrath of the Titans overall. I want to compliment a cool idea when I see one, and this is a cool writing idea. It's represented well in the film. I love the lighting effect of when a god is touching one of the weapons, how it glows under their hand. That's cool. The third and final thing that I dig about this movie, outside of the casting of Rosamund Pike, which I mentioned already, are the the surrounding cast. Bill Nighy is here, Ralph Fiennes, Danny Houston. Like, these guys are big names. They're playing big bads in like the X-Men and Harry Potter and Pirates of the Caribbean, some of the biggest series from the 2000s and 2010s. So it's cool that they're all here, but they don't get a ton to do, so there's a little complaint within my compliment. But I'm just happy to see them. They're like yucking it up with these really over-the-top beards and wigs and playing these really esoteric giant characters, but still trying to play them kind of straight and blockbustery. Like, this is a lot to ask of an actor, and I think anyone else would have showed up to this and probably not done as much, even for the little that we do get, as these guys do. It's cool to see them all paired in a movie. Like, this cast is overall just wild. Everyone here ends up being a big name. Even like tiny side characters in this movie end up having their own leads in movies down the line. Toby Kebbell's gonna pop up soon, and there's a couple others mixed into this movie. It's cool to see that this cast got to do a lot more, even if this wasn't the movie to like launch their careers. But what do you think? Do you dig Wrath of the Titans? Is there anyone out there that likes it more than Clash of the Titans? That's what I'm really curious about. Let me know down in the comments. Unfortunately, to this point, this series has not got its trilogy cap ender. The next movie we're talking about is the trilogy cap ender, technically, to the Escape from New York series. We're talking about Lockout next, and as always, I'll see you tomorrow.